Today I am here to share with you a walkthrough of my 2021 yearbook or Project Life album. I've kind of taken to calling them yearbooks because I'm not really following, first of all, I'm not using any Becky Higgins products at this point, and I'm not really following a sort of traditional Project Life where it was a weekly and it was a daily practice of like sort of taking a photo and telling a story a day. I'm not really doing that. So I've come to call these my yearbooks, which also just feels kind of fun. So as you can see, I was working in a 9x12 album. This is an album from Ali Edwards' shop. And I took a monthly approach to documenting 2021. So inside I've added this Pieces of Life. This came from the Pieces of Life, I think, collection is what it was called last year that Ali did for Pieces of Me or Pieces of Us and Pieces of Home. And I didn't get anything from that collection except a couple stamp sets and this fabric patch. And I just really liked the inside of that to sort of jazz up the inside cover. I typically don't do anything on the inside of these albums because they're so big. It doesn't really, I don't feel like it really adds anything. And then I have this wood veneer 2021 from Ellie Studio that I just plopped inside. So as you're looking through, you can kind of recall what year it is, even though that should be pretty obvious with some of the dates and things. So I'm starting out here. It's worth noting that I used mostly Ali Edwards products in this album. I'll point out places where that's different. And mostly working from digital Stories by the Month kits from 2017 and 2020. I think 2020, yes, because there was no digitals last year. And then also working from my stash of Stories by the Month physical products. So I had actually stopped subscribing to the physical kits during last year. I'm still not resubscribed because I've just really enjoyed using the digital products. And last year I really wanted to work through 3 years of physical kits that I had in my possession that had bits and bobs left over. And so we'll talk more about that as we go through. So right off the bat, we've got a sort of fully digital page, or I guess a hybrid page, using this big Love This Time of Fresh Starts and Possibilities and Brand New Beginnings word art that was part of, I think, January 2020 Stories by the Month, with a little blurb about sort of who we are right now at the beginning of 2021, and the date here at the bottom. This is a photo of us on the beach the previous November. And then on the back, I've done another full-size page, but this time I've broken it up into this sort of 3x3 grid to talk about my 30 days of yoga practice that I did. This was my third year of doing 30 days of yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, and just selecting some of my favorites photos from that. Then we jump right into sort of the January pages. Again, I'm working monthly and working with like old pieces from my stash. So this is all Stories by the Month pieces that I had already in my stuff that just hadn't been used yet. So then here on the back, a little bit more, keeping it fairly light. A lot of word phrase stickers used throughout this album because they're small embellishments that just add a little bit of extra oomph without going overboard, because I find that this album tends to get kind of chaotic just because of all the photos and words that we're adding in. As you recall, January was sort of a historical month in 2021. So there's this article from the Huffington Post that I just sort of copy and pasted about 3 unforgettable Wednesdays in January, talking about the Capitol riots, President Trump's impeachment, and the inauguration of President Biden and Kamala Harris. And I just liked how that sort of summarized. 2020 had a ton of current events in it because of the pandemic and everything that was developing as we went through that, and all of the sort of uprise around racial justice, and it was just a very heavy album. So this year really didn't start off any different. but I didn't have it in me anymore to sort of curate those stories. So, or to sort of write those stories myself. So I just used resources where I could and put them in, this being one of them. And then on the back, I've got Amanda Gorman's The Hill We Climb poem that she read at the inauguration, printed real small. I don't know if I'll be able to read that when I get old, but it's in here and I like having it there. Then I've got a little, this is a 9x12, or maybe even a 6x12. It may have just been this wide. And I cut it down to one strip of 3x4s to include some headlines about different things throughout the month from using the Front Pages app, and that's linked in the description box below. Use the January Looks Like This digital card from I think this was in the 2020 Stories by the Month kit to include some more photos. These are just screenshots that I took from news articles and included those here. And then photos, and again, these are all screenshots. I obviously didn't take any of these photos, but visiting news sites and things like that to sort of get good quality photos and include them in my album is something that I will often do, particularly for sort of historic or newsworthy things. Then we move into February. In February, I was using the Digital Stories by the Month. Again, some pieces, there are some pieces I think in here, maybe not. Mostly it's Digital Stories by the Month from 2020 and maybe 2017. And then I was also using the Heart Story Kit that I have as a digital, just for something a little extra. So using some different story prompts, currently in the habit of, and things that we were with. This time I used this card to talk about things like sort of media in our life, things that we were watching or playing. Some just sort of everyday photos, which I love including. And then this is just a story of a snow day. So our siblings tend to send us photos of all of our nieces and nephews. And so I collected a whole, make sure I had a photo of each of our nieces and nephews to include, talked a little bit about snow, and then these big 9x12 full-size photos with a little bit of embellishment are definitely my favorite thing about this album, and something I plan to continue. So moving into March, I've used another full-size photo here, and to break up some of this white space I had in the photo, added 3x4 cards, quote cards and journaling cards from the Stories by the Month kit, the Digital Stories by the Month kit, and just did a little list here of what March looked like. March is my birthday month, so here's a little highlight about turning 41 and what was happening at that point in time. And my nieces came over to celebrate with me. Our friend Darius came to celebrate with me. More birthday stuff here on the back. We had a lovely Zoom birthday party with my crafty friends, and they had even sent a grocery order of sundae fixins and ice cream so that we could have a little sundae party together, which was so fun. And then my nephew came over and he and my husband baked cupcakes for us. Here is just a 6x8 insert that I've got some birthday cards and drawings from the kids and things that I kind of wanted to hold on to. Also included in here are my surgery photos. So these are the actual screenshots of from the screen when my surgeon was removing my gallbladder. So I've got those folded up nice so that they don't alarm anybody, but I've never had surgery before, so I want to keep those photos. I did have surgery in March before my birthday. I had my gallbladder removed, thank goodness. I felt 100% better after that. So using that 3x3 divider to just show snippets of the month and give a little bit more. This was a card, I think a 4x6 card that I had cut up and maybe made a couple copies of to include little snippets of journaling on each photo. Moving into April, we're celebrating Easter. So this is my family's celebration over here. My sister hosted. So we had dinner and egg hunt with the kids and the pups and just a super fun day. My family has a fun, it's called picking eggs. And it's a fun tradition that my grandparents and all of their siblings did growing up, and so it's something we've always done. And so we sort of introduced the kids to that for the first time, which was really exciting and fun. And then over here, we've got my husband's celebration. So we got together for an egg hunt with his side of the family, and then went out, just the three of us, ordered a pizza, ate at a park, and enjoyed the rest of the day. Easter's a really tough holiday for me, and so I tend not to do a lot of celebrating, and try to keep it real low-key. More snippets of April, so using this card to just journal about 5 different things, and then using some number chipboard that I had in my stash to match those stories. In April, we got our first vaccination. This is my youngest sister. She went with us. We got appointments together. A little bit of information here and reflection on the Derek Chauvin trial. Another full-size photo. I loved mixing in not just photos of like us, but photos of nature and things that I was capturing out on my walks or when we went out as a family. This is a 3x4 card. I just cut that out and popped it up on some pop dots to use it as an embellishment there. Moving into May, we've got a full-size photo of Ruby. Cork title, I try to indicate where the month changes somehow, some way each month. And then this was a 3x4 card I cut down. Again, using some of that snippets, a card that sort of collects all the journaling, which is great for monthly and for this size, because I don't have a ton of space to work with. So if I needed to do a photo and journaling and a photo and journal, I would run out of room for everything. So these sort of summary cards are really handy working in 9x12 and working in a monthly fashion. My brother's family, this was moving day for them, so we kept the girls so they would be out of the way. They moved to Pennsylvania, which was a sad and happy day, a very bittersweet day for all of us. And we kept the girls and had an overnight with them, and then we took them to their new house the next day, so that was super fun. We got our second vaccination. My cousin is our pharmacist, so that was fun. We took a fun photo with her picture hanging on the wall. What are these? These are screenshots from our governor's different mandates and things that he was changing as we eased restrictions in Maryland. Here's an 8.5x11 photo that I've included of some sushi. Believe it or not, this is my first time having sushi with my husband and a friend at the beach. And so I included a full size of that just outside the page protector, which was fun to include. And then Avery index tabs, I like to use those on any of my inserts, just so you know that that's a thing that's separate from the bigger pages. And then highlighting my nephew's 4th birthday. He had a space-themed birthday, super into space at this point in time. So this paper from Chamel was super perfect. And I just a little bit of traditional scrapbooking here in the midst of everything. And then on the back, my sister graduated with her master's degree. So we had a little get together at her house to watch the ceremony together virtually. My parents were the only ones that got to go in person because of COVID restrictions. So full-size photo there, a little bit more, information about that. And then spending Memorial Day at the beach. Again, using one of those summary cards to just focus on some of the stories that I'm telling in these photos. Moving into June, it's my niece's birthday month in June, and some of our family members, my sister-in-law, so lots of celebrating happening. We had the cicadas going on. This is like one of the only cicadas that we saw here in where our house is. They were kind of crazy in other places in the state, but here I used some of the play story kit to do an insert about things that we were playing at the time, teaching my niece to play Go Fish, playing with BarkBox. We love this card game. It's a marble game. And then again, just doing some summary things on the back. Giant nature photo from, these are some Asiatic lilies on my walk. I think that's what they are. Big photo taken at the river during a play date with our pup. In June, we were both sick with colds, And so June didn't really feel like summer. July really felt like summer. So right out the gate, we made sure to get out a lot. I mean, you can see this is July 3rd, finally like getting out and enjoying the summer weather here. Playing in the river, another weekend playing in the river. Birthday card I made for my husband with a little Jeep on it. Some more photos from that day, those 2 days. Then we took a little getaway to the beach, just my husband and I. So this was fun. We like went to the arcade, we had good food, we played mini golf. So that was great. And just used that July details card to stamp out getaway. These are using the Carrie Bradford Willow stamps. And then just listed different things specific to that trip. This was my nephew's 4th birthday, and we also, I didn't include a photo for privacy reasons, but we also got to see the sonogram. We did a 3D sonogram. My sister-in-law did a 3D sonogram. I got invited to go to see our new nephew, who would be joining the family soon. More things, my friend Heidi's virtual birthday party that we did together. So then I've got the 3x3 page. These are great for really including a lot of photos from an event or just highlights like I did back in March. So this one is all about our trip to the beach with my in-laws. So hanging out with my nephew, taking the dog to the dog ice cream shop. How stinking cute is that? Watching the drone laser show from our porch. Just super fun. And then on the back, I have the highlights from my family. So this is my husband's family. And then our family, my family goes to the mountains for our summer vacation every year. So these are highlights from that. And to sort of treat them a little bit differently, here I did just some printed I made my own sort of like word phrase strips, just printed them out on my computer and cut them down and attached them to give a little bit more context to each of the photos. Whereas here I just added numbers, and then I'm using this printout card to sort of tell a little bit more of each of those stories, because they could have easily been exactly the same, and that would have been completely fine choice too. So a little 3x8 insert, then just some 4x6 card that I cut down on the back. Some more photos from our vacation, a little bit more information about our vacation. Hanging out with friends on our vacation. We have some friends some of our best friends live at the resort where we go. And so we always like to see them when we're there. Learning to play the ukulele, which of course led into us buying our own ukuleles. So that was super fun. I used this this was a card, maybe a 4x6 card, maybe a 3x4 card. I just cut it down and hand wrote in some different things about what was happening. These dates are incorrect. This was August. I just forgot to change my month on my date stamp. So at the beach for Jeep Week with some friends who also have a Jeep, doing fire pit out front, riding our Jeep on the beach. So fun. And then wrapping up August, talking about, this is from the Teach Story Kit from Allie, and just a little bit about what we're learning and teaching at that time. Before we move into September, this is using the September Stories by the Month kit digital, and some pieces from my stash. Here I made a little pocket. So I just took a piece of pattern paper and cut it on a diagonal and attached it with red line tape sort of on these 3 sides to be able to just create a little pocket for a photo and some screenshots that sort of relate to the story on this card over here. We welcomed our nephew, so the card that goes here is all of his stats, but again, not including that in this walkthrough for privacy. And just a little 6x8 insert, first time we met our new nephew. Some more highlights, again, using one of those summary cards. This was something I had in my stash. This was a story of planning a trip to Disney World that we were supposed to go on in January, but got pushed back because of worries about Omicron and fun stuff. Can you tell I'm sort of done with the pandemic? Feeling really, really over it. In September, we took our first camping trip of this season up to a state park here in the mountains. So highlights from that. And then this is one of my most favorite photos I took last year. Just a night photo of our tent all lit up with my husband playing his uke in front of it. This is a sunflower in my mom's garden. She grew sunflowers randomly for the first time. So I was there visiting one day and they were gorgeous in the blue sky. So knew that was gonna be my photo for October. My friend Heidi, my online friend Heidi, came to visit me in person for the very first time. So we spent a weekend doing all kinds of fun things in Baltimore, some of which I had never done before and didn't even think you could do. So that was fun. But it was so fun to meet in person. This was the first time we saw each other in person after being friends online for a couple of years. So that was super special. Then on the back here, I've done just a couple different photos from October and then used, this October Stories is a stamp that came in one of the Stories by the Month kits that I had. So just stamping that out in different colors and doing a little bit of journaling for each of those. And I really love the way that that page turned out. It's clean and easy and simple. Again, lots of word phrase stickers. Here's an insert a little bit more about October. It was really like summer here. So, you know, you've got, we had snowballs, which is a Maryland like icy treat. If you don't know that, we had steamed crabs in October. Like it was really just an extension of our summer. The weather was super hot until all of a sudden it wasn't. We did a backyard camp out with my cousins. So that was super fun. So again, using that October details card to really just talk about this one specific event. Another camping trip here in October. So a little bit cooler here. You can see we've got long sleeves and jackets on. Camping with my brother and his in-laws. And they do a fun trick-or-treating at the campground, and everybody decorates for Halloween, and it's so fun. So these are all of our costumes. We went as Scooby and Shaggy and Velma, and that was so fun. Then at the end of October, we celebrated my niece's 5th birthday. She turns 5 in November, but we were not going to be here, so we went up to visit them and spend an evening with her. So here's a little tuck-in, again, using one of those summary cards to just talk about what we did for her birthday as a 6x8 insert. And then this using the story of like leaving her, and we left their house in Pennsylvania and got on the road to travel west. So in November, my husband and I took a 20-day trip, which was amazing. So on October 31st, I used this card, which typically would be for like Halloween, but we didn't celebrate Halloween other than like on that camping trip earlier in the month, because we were in Wyoming driving across country on the 31st for the purpose of meeting my crafty friends in person on the Oregon coast. We spent a week together. We rented a house. We crafted the entire week. We started December Daily together. It was so fun. So I jumped the gun there a little bit, but this photo here is a 9x12, and it's a really kind of cruddy quality photo because it's at night. But this is the first time we've ever visited any of the national parks at night. So this is in Death Valley National Park in California, right on the California-Nevada line. And it was amazing. And we took some night photos and they didn't turn out great. We just took them with our phone, but I will never forget this. And this is a great reminder of that. And then this gold foiled November was cut out from an old one little word 4x6 card set. Highlights from our Oregon coast trip. My husband and Ruby stayed down the beach from us. And so they had their own little place. So they were close by. You can see here's a little screenshot from our Life 360. It's a great way to include snippets. So, you know, we were just a few miles away. And then packing up and heading back on the road. So here are some more. I just did a 6x12 insert with the 3x3s. Some more highlights from our road trip and working our way back east. My niece's school photo, she's 10 and in 5th grade this year, and her soccer photo, and I just used one of those summary cards to talk a little bit about who she is right now and how awesome she is. This is Thanksgiving highlights with my in-laws. So we did Thanksgiving with them when we returned from our trip before we headed to the beach to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. So every year after Thanksgiving, my husband and I go to the beach. Sometimes it's with family, sometimes it's by ourselves, to check out, to sort of kick off our Christmas season with the Winterfest that they do down there. So it's like a light display thing, and there's all kinds of events and stuff. So that's super fun. But this year, my family, my parents, and my siblings all decided that they wanted to come down too. So they rented a house. Sean, my husband's family has a beach house, so we stayed there. And then my family rented a house, and we had a Thanksgiving breakfast together or brunch together, and then spent the day doing beach stuff, lunch on the boardwalk, mini golf, before we went to the lights. My in-laws came down for Friday evening, and then on Saturday we went again with my siblings and my parents. December is really usually quite light in my Project Life album or my yearbook because of December Daily. I do all of my documenting. That's my primary documenting for December. So in here, I just have one page of 3x4 sort of photos and screenshots. Use the December details to talk about different things from the month. 5 things I want to remember. Ending with a big photo of the 2 of us and our new KN95 masks that we upgraded to with Omicron surging during December. And then the final page is a photo. This is actually from the beginning of January 2022, but I just used it here anyway, with a 4x6 card quote from a card cut out to end out my album. So that is a look at 2021 as a whole. So I'm super excited to be done with this album. I've loved doing a monthly approach. That was something really different. I did monthly in 2020 and I did monthly in 2021. This year I'm going to be mixing it up, and I hope to have a video coming soon talking a little bit more about what I plan for 2022. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.